Alright, let's talk Code Vein 2 weapons, because yes, there are a lot of them, and no, you don't want to invest in the wrong ones. With over 70 weapons in the game, most are clearly designed to carry you through the early and mid game, then quietly fall off when things start getting serious. But a handful of weapons, those are absolute monsters, and they'll stick with you all the way to the endgame if you build around them properly. In this video, I'll break down the best weapons in Code Vein 2 using a clear tier list, going over their core stats, how they actually feel in real combat, and which format they synergize with the best. Whether you're min-maxing for endgame or just want a weapon that won't betray you halfway through the story, this guide will help you make smarter choices and avoid wasting resources. So grab your favorite blood code, sit back, and let's figure out which weapons truly deserve a spot in your build. I'm quickly moving on to the video and I'm ranking weapons in Code Vein 2. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching. The weapons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Blades of Noble Blood, Lost Bayonet, and Nameless Bayonet. Right when you think you have everything under control in Code Vein 2, the game casually hands you the Blades of Noble Blood and whispers, "Good luck, show off." This weapon is all about style, creativity, and flexing on enemies with wide attack arcs, elegant spins, and surprisingly long-range slashes. It has an insanely high skill ceiling, so if you love mastering complex mechanics and chaining combos that look like a choreographed dance, this blade speaks your language. That said, it is not exactly in a hurry. The character moves first and the blades follow, which means slower attack startup and a real risk of getting stuck in long animations if your timing is even slightly off. Positioning and patience are not optional here, they are the whole game. Then we have the Lost Bayonet, which feels like it cannot decide whether it wants to be classy or chaotic, and honestly, that is part of the charm. Each hit applies a moderately strong bleed effect, so enemies slowly regret every bad decision they made leading up to this fight. The real fun starts with the built-in shotgun firing mechanism. Strong attacks consume shotgun ammo to blast short-range scatter shots right into your opponent's personal space. When you run dry, you can press and hold the strong attack to manually reload, which adds a surprisingly tactical rhythm to combat. It is not the flashiest option out there, but it definitely knows how to make fights messy in the best way. Last but not least, the Nameless Bayonet takes a more disciplined approach and swaps chaos for consistency. Instead of a shotgun, this one comes with a rifle firing mechanism, letting you spend rifle ammo on strong attacks to fire solid mid-range projectiles. It is perfect for players who like to keep some distance while still staying aggressive. Just like its lost sibling, you can press and hold the strong attack to reload manually, so managing ammo becomes part of the flow rather than an afterthought. It might not scream power, but in the hands of someone who values control and precision, the Nameless Bayonet quietly gets the job done. The weapons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Cultist Ceremonial Halberd, Hammer of Thraldom, Jade Curved Blades, Blazing Talons, Fangs of Conviction, and Blood Rune. There is something oddly satisfying about weapons in Code Vein 2 that sit in the C tier because they always feel like they are one good decision away from greatness. Take the Cultist Ceremonial Halberd for example. Its strong attacks launch a very deliberate 2-hit combo that starts with a lunging thrust and smoothly transitions into a wide sweeping slash. It feels ritualistic, almost theatrical, like you are performing an ancient ceremony every time you press the button. It is not flashy speed-wise, but the range and flow make it surprisingly reliable when you want to keep enemies exactly where you want them. Then there is the Hammer of Thraldom, which does not care about elegance or finesse in the slightest. Strong attacks here are all about delivering a single full-force strike that screams commitment. You swing it, you mean it, and everyone nearby understands that message very clearly. It is simple, heavy, and brutally honest, making it perfect for players who prefer straightforward power over fancy combos. Miss your timing though, and you will feel every second of that recovery. The Jade Curved Blades go in the complete opposite direction and fully embrace fluidity. Strong attacks unleash a smooth, continuous series of slashes with both blades, turning you into a spinning problem for anything standing too close. The movement feels light and rhythmic, rewarding players who like staying aggressive and constantly in motion. It is less about one big hit and more about overwhelming enemies with momentum, which can feel incredibly satisfying once you get into the flow. Blazing Talons are where things start getting spicy because these weapons are all about speed and pressure. They have an extremely fast attack startup, making them perfect for rapid status build-up thanks to frequent hits. Against fast and agile bosses, they shine, since the weapon forms strongly emphasize movement and damage per second. The downside is very real though. The reach is extremely short, meaning you have to stay uncomfortably close to enemies, and the dual blade animations come with slightly longer end lag than you might expect. Fangs of Conviction follow that exact same philosophy, and yes, they come with the same love-hate relationship. You get lightning fast attack startup, amazing status build-up potential, and fantastic performance against quick, evasive enemies. The weapon forms push mobility and constant aggression, rewarding players who never stop moving. But just like the Blazing Talons, the short range forces you into danger, and the dual blade animations can leave you open if you get too greedy. Finally, Bloodrune shows up and decides that fists and feet are perfectly valid weapons of mass destruction. Strong attacks launch a long-range jumping kick that feels more anime than subtle, and mid-air weak attacks can smoothly combo into a mid-air strong attack. That mid-air strong attack sends you sharply downward with a powerful kick, letting you punish enemies from above in a very satisfying way. It is unconventional, slightly weird, and honestly a lot of fun, especially if you enjoy mixing aerial movement into your combat style. The weapons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right: Silver Shot, Raider's Bayonet, VK Dual Blades, Twin Fangs of the Lone Wolf, Ancient Hunter's Twin Blades, Pipe of Thraldom, Battered VK Longsword, Aim no Habakiri, Greatsword, and Ancient Hunter's Sword. Somewhere between this is safe and this is actually kind of cracked. The B tier weapons in Code Vein 2 quietly carry a lot of fights without asking for applause. Silver Shot is a perfect example of that energy. Its strong attacks burn shotgun ammo to fire brutal short-range scatter shots, and the closer you are to the target, the more damage those blasts deal. It basically rewards you for having zero respect for personal space. When the magazine runs dry, you can press and hold the strong attack to manually reload, turning every encounter into a little risk versus reward dance that feels tense in a fun way. Raider's Bayonet takes a much calmer and more calculated approach. Strong attacks consume rifle ammo to fire long-range magic rounds with surprisingly high homing capability, which means enemies have a hard time dodging even if they try. It feels reliable, almost reassuring, especially in chaotic fights. Just like other bayonets, you can press and hold the strong attack to reload manually, so ammo management stays firmly in your hands instead of becoming an annoying interruption. The VK Dual Blades lean heavily into momentum and style. Strong attacks unleash a forward spinning slash that naturally pushes you into the fight, while mid-air weak attacks can smoothly combo into a mid-air strong attack. That mid-air strong attack finishes with a spinning downward slash that feels both flashy and practical. These blades shine when you stay aggressive and keep chaining movement into damage without giving enemies time to breathe. Twin Fangs of the Lone Wolf follow a very similar philosophy, but with a slightly more stripped down feel. Strong attacks still unleash that forward spinning slash, and mid-air strong attacks perform a spinning downward slash to close the gap fast. They are straightforward, confident, and built for players who like knowing exactly what their weapon will do every single time. No nonsense, just sharp movement and reliable pressure. Ancient Hunter's Twin Blades bring speed to the forefront in a very serious way. They have an extremely fast attack startup and are excellent for status build-up thanks to frequent hits. Against fast and agile bosses, these blades feel right at home, especially since the weapon forms emphasize movement and sustained damage output. The downside is the extremely short reach, forcing you to stay close, and the dual blade animations come with slightly longer end lag, which punishes careless aggression. Pipe of Thraldom is surprisingly elegant for something that sounds so unpleasant. Strong attacks deliver a sharp, precise thrust that feels surgical rather than brutal. Mid-air strong attacks perform a clean downward cut, making it easy to punish enemies from above. It is not flashy, but it feels controlled and intentional, which can be incredibly effective in the right hands. The Battered VK Longsword is the definition of dependable. It has a quick attack startup, short animations that make dodging feel effortless, and smooth, intuitive combos that just make sense. It is ideal for demanding fights where mistakes are punished hard. The trade-off is a shorter reach than many other weapons and a lack of standout gimmicks, making it well balanced but not exceptional in any single area. Aime no Habakiri greatsword surprisingly shares that same balanced identity. Despite being a greatsword, it offers quick attack startup, short animations, and smooth, easy-to-read combos. It works beautifully in high-pressure encounters where responsiveness matters more than raw power. Like the battered VK longsword, it sacrifices reach and flashy mechanics to stay consistent and reliable across the board. Finally, the Ancient Hunter's sword rounds out the tier with familiar strengths. Quick startup, short animations, and clean combos make it a joy to use in tough fights. It does not dominate any specific niche, and it lacks a signature gimmick, but that balance is exactly why it belongs here. It is the kind of weapon that never steals the spotlight, yet somehow always shows up when things get serious. The weapons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, VK Halberd, Sunset Bayonet, Carmilla's Thorn, Tainted Sword, Ancient Hunter's Halberd, Old Engraved Blade, VK Longsword, and Ancient Hunter's Bayonet. There is a certain confidence that comes with a tier weapons in Code Vein 2, the kind that does not need to scream power because it already knows it belongs here. The VK Halberd fits that mindset perfectly. You can use it for wide, defensive circular sweeps that control space really well, especially when enemies try to rush you down. Just keep in mind that if you miss an attack, the recovery is noticeably slower, so every swing should be intentional rather than hopeful. Sunset Bayonet is for players who like to poke safely and stay efficient. Its gunshot is very ammo efficient, making it great for controlled pressure from a distance. The downside is that its melee damage is quite low unless you stack buffs, so up close it can feel a bit underwhelming. Still, in careful hands, it shines as a reliable tool rather than a flashy damage dealer. Carmilla's Thorn is a bit of a specialist, and it knows it. This weapon really only shines when you lean into charged heavy attacks, which are significantly faster than its uncharged versions. When played correctly, it feels sharp and deadly, but outside of that niche, it struggles to justify itself. It rewards players who commit fully to its intended playstyle. The Tainted Sword has a strange reputation because you can farm it early in the main missions, making it feel strong at first. Unfortunately, that honeymoon phase does not last long. Once you start upgrading and unlocking better standard options, it gets outclassed pretty quickly. It is still usable, but it feels more like a stepping stone than a long-term companion. Ancient Hunter's Halberd finds its strength in defensive halberd forme setups, where its solid structure really shows. It can hold ground and punish overextensions well. The problem is that its moveset is very predictable, which makes it easy for experienced enemies to exploit. It is strong, but only as long as your opponent plays along. Old Engraved Blade leans heavily into aggression with fast flowing combos that encourage non-stop pressure. When everything clicks, it feels amazing. The catch is that without good parry timing, you are left wide open, making this weapon a high-risk, high-reward choice. It demands confidence and clean execution. The VK Longsword is about as beginner-friendly as it gets, especially for players experimenting with the new Blood Code. It is easy to understand, forgiving, and consistent. However, it lacks unique buffs or strong forme synergy, which means it rarely stands out once you move into more advanced builds. Finally, the Ancient Hunter's Bayonet sits comfortably as a hybrid option. It works well in mixed melee and ranged fights and can be quite reliable in the right setup. The downside is that most dedicated halberds simply outrange it, putting it at a disadvantage in spacing battles. Solid and flexible, yes, but rarely dominant. The weapons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Old Engraved Greatsword, Ancient Hunter's Greatsword, Tainted Halberd, Moon Envoy's Staff, Ancient Hunter's Hammer, Lost Heavy Axe, and Pelagic Spear. This is the point in Code Vein 2, where weapons stop asking for permission and start deciding fights on their own. The Old Engraved Greatsword is a perfect example of that energy. It is accessible to most builds, hits hard, and brings serious stagger potential to the table. The 2-hit lunge combo closes distance fast, while the high slash damage makes every connection feel meaningful. It is simple, brutally effective, and scary in the best possible way. Ancient Hunter's Greatsword earns its S-tier spot by being an absolute monster in the early game. For Guardian's heart strength and the dexterity builds, it pairs beautifully with forme like Coffin Breaker and Adrenaline to deliver explosive burst damage. It feels tailor-made for players who want to overwhelm enemies before they even get a chance to respond. Early on, few weapons feel this immediately powerful and satisfying. The Tainted Halberd shines as a slash hybrid weapon that offers both reach and reliable poise break. It fits into a wide variety of builds and becomes especially nasty when paired with Sacrificial Edge Forme, creating strong edge synergy that rewards aggressive play. You get versatility, control, and punishment all rolled into one, which is exactly what an S-tier halberd should deliver. Moon Envoy's staff is technically a long halberd, but it plays like a calculated execution tool. The extended reach allows you to deal safe poise damage without overcommitting, which is invaluable in tougher encounters. When combined with boosted blade forme, it dishes out elite level crush damage that melts through enemies who thought distance would save them. It is calm, controlled, and incredibly lethal. Ancient Hunter's Hammer is the answer to one simple question: what if armor did not matter? This crush-focused weapon excels with the Gaia Impact Forme, delivering massive stagger damage that absolutely bullies armored enemies. Every hit feels like it shakes the battlefield, making it a go-to option when raw impact is more important than finesse. Lost Heavy Axe is all about raw power and presence. Its high base damage makes it an ideal choice for heavy strength builds that value wide sweeping attacks and strong crowd control. It is not subtle, and it does not need to be. When surrounded or outnumbered, this axe turns chaos into opportunity with every massive swing. Finally, the Pelagic Spear rounds out the S tier with precision and adaptability. It is slightly slower than some alternatives, but if you can live with that, it rewards you with excellent hybrid performance. The combination of piercing and thrusting damage makes it especially effective against bosses, where controlled spacing and consistent damage matter more than flashy speed. The weapons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right: Cultist's Ritual Blade, Obliterator Axe, Curse Backblade Killer, Tainted Hammer, and Grotesque Bone Mace. This is the tier where Code Vein 2 basically stops pretending to be fair. S+ tier weapons are not just strong, they actively bend the rules, and the Cultist's Ritual Blade sets that tone immediately. With the highest strength scaling builds, this thing dishes out absolutely massive slash damage, and the scary part is how early you can get it thanks to the Sunken Pylon drop. Once it is in your hands, enemies start feeling underleveled very quickly. The Obliterator Axe is one of those weapons that makes you double check the shop screen in disbelief. It is easily purchasable at Sealing Spire, yet it stands as one of the best halberds in the game. Excellent reach, a crowd control friendly moveset, and brutally strong crush damage all come together in one package. It clears space, controls fights, and never feels like a compromise. Curse Backblade Killer earns its place here through sheer versatility. This hybrid strength and dexterity weapon fits into a wide range of builds, which already makes it dangerous. Add in its extremely high base attack and those devastating charge slashes, and suddenly you have a weapon that deletes health bars if you give it even a second to breathe. It rewards patience and precision with overwhelming payoff. Tainted Hammer exists for one purpose: making armored enemies regret existing. It is absurdly effective thanks to its powerful forme leaps and massive crush damage, which translates into reliable poise breaking and brutal single target stagger. When a fight calls for raw impact over speed, this hammer answers louder than anything else. Finally, the Grotesque Bone Mace rounds out the S+ tier with unapologetic brutality. It is a devastating single-hit mace that excels at poise damage and pairs beautifully with bleed synergy. Thanks to its solid strength scaling, it breaks enemy stances with ease, turning even tough encounters into a series of interrupted attacks. One swing, one statement. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.